What's up everybody? Welcome to another mini adventure slash tutorial. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite filter for shooting B-roll, and no, it's not an ND filter. So first let's talk about B-roll. So B-roll is anything that is not the main shot. So for example, in this video, this would be the main shot, and anything that we cut away to would be considered B-roll. B-roll is necessary to keep your audience engaged and to elevate your story. So instead of just looking at footage of me talking the entire time, I'm gonna use some B-roll to kind of paint the picture and hopefully keep you guys engaged about where we are today and what we're doing. And you can shoot B-roll with any lens, but some of my favorites are the Nikon 85mm 1.8, and then also for my Sony rig, I like shooting with the 24-70 G Master lens and shooting it at that 70 focal length. All right, so we have our focal lengths covered. Now let's move on to the next B-roll setting, which is aperture. And I like to shoot all my lenses at wide open as possible for B-roll. So that's 1.8 on the Nikon 85 and 2.8 on the G Master lens. And this is because it's gonna give us a nice shallow depth of field and subject separation, bringing your audience's attention to wherever you have focus pulled to. I like to shoot all of my B-roll at slow motion, like 60 frames, or most of the time 120 frames per second, because this tends to make things just a little more dramatic and I feel a little more engaging for the viewer. And since we're shooting at 120 frames per second, I'm gonna be slowing that down by 25% in post on my 30 frames per second timeline. And also remember that since we're shooting at 120, we want shutter speed to be at 1/240th according to the 180-degree rule of shutter. I actually got a video on that below. Now check this out. If I move shutter speed to 1/240th on the G Master with a 2.8 aperture right now, the scene's just completely overexposed by about 4 stops. So enter my go-to filter for filming B-roll, the ND16 PL filter. I told you it wasn't an ND filter. The ND16 PL filter is perfect for hitting shutter at 1/240th with wide open apertures when shooting in like sunny or even golden hour conditions. And usually I find that exposure's within plus or minus 1 stop of the ND16 filter. So I always leave it on and just make either a 1-stop aperture change or a 1-stop ISO change, because the 1-stop aperture change isn't gonna really make a big difference in depth of field until you start to push it 2 or 3 stops closed down. And with the ISO, pretty much any modern day DSLR or mirrorless camera is going to be able to handle an additional 1 or 2 stops of ISO. And one of my favorite things about the NDPL filter is the built-in polarizer element, which will actually reduce up to 1.6 stops of light from the sky, allowing you to increase scene dynamic range by an additional 1.6 stops. And of course, the polarizer will also reduce reflections, which gives you a little bit more latitude in post to push color if you so choose. And this filter that I have here is part of our quartz line series, and its main advantage is that it has a pure quartz glass element, which is going to resolve up to 400 megapixel sensors. It does come at a cost, but we wanted something that we knew we could trust in front of our lenses and wouldn't degrade image quality. All right, so there you have it, the ND16 PL filter, the go-to for nailing exposure for your slow-mo B-roll. Thanks for joining us again today on our little adventure. If you're in the market for a new filter, we would greatly appreciate you supporting our brand. We got the link below to all of our filter line. I'm Jeff, Corey, Leo, and Bailey with PolarPro, and we will see you on the next one, probably next week. You!